The arrogant moms who called me a failure didn't know I was about to save their child. They called me a teenage screw-up, a welfare queen, said my daughter was broken because I'd partied too much while pregnant. Little did those snobby moms know, I was about to save one of their children's lives. It was a crisp Saturday morning, and I took my 3-year-old, Lily, to the playground early, just like always. I hated the stares, the whispers, the pity in people's eyes when they saw Lily. She couldn't jump yet, couldn't string full sentences together like other kids her age, and those early mornings meant fewer people around to watch. I knew I looked young, probably even younger than my 19 years, especially in my worn thrift store clothes. But every single dollar I had went to Lily's endless therapies, her specialists, her medications. Those women, they had no idea. They just saw a teenage screw-up who'd probably gotten herself knocked up. They never saw the 3 years I'd spent fighting tooth and nail, raising Lily with absolutely no help, keeping her alive far longer than the doctors ever thought possible. Then they arrived. A whole troop of perfectly styled moms, their designer diaper bags slung over their shoulders like badges of honor. I could feel their eyes on us, dissecting us, instantly labeling us. One mom, her workout gear probably costing more than my monthly rent, strutted over. Not to me, but to her friend, loud enough for me to hear every stinging word. "This is why children shouldn't have children," she scoffed. "Look at that poor little girl. She can barely hold on, probably brain damage from her mom partying while pregnant." My sweet Lily, oblivious, smiled and waved, managing only a soft "hella." The woman didn't even see her, just talked over her. 3 years old and can't even form sentences. It's heartbreaking what teenage pregnancy does to innocent kids. My jaw tightened. I helped Lily down from the swing, guiding her wobbly legs. Her muscle tone meant she was often unsteady, but that was my battle, our battle. Not theirs. A second mom actually pulled her own son away when he tried to approach Lily. "We don't play with her, sweetie. She's slow. Her mommy was probably on substances when pregnant." Then, in a theatrical stage whisper, she added, "You can always tell. The baby's just come out wrong. Look how she walks, like she's drunk." I felt a hot flush creep up my neck. When Lily, with her careful, uncoordinated steps, tried to join their kids in the sandbox, that first mom physically blocked her. "I'm sorry, but your daughter is too delayed to play safely with normal children. She might hurt someone." Lily's little hand reached for a bright red bucket, and the woman snatched it away, right out of her grasp. "These are for kids who can actually use them properly. Your daughter doesn't even know how to play, right? Maybe you should just keep her at home." Then it got worse. A third mom, her own designer-clad baby bouncing on her hip, cornered me directly. "How old are you? 12? Let me guess, you got knocked up in middle school and kept it because you thought babies were cute." She sneered, then looked at Lily, struggling to climb the small steps. "Now this broken child has to suffer because of you. She'll never read, never write, never have a real life because you were selfish." My throat burned. I swallowed back a fresh wave of tears, leaning down to help Lily with her shoe, and that's when they surrounded me. A chorus of venom. "She can't even dress herself at 3. That's what happens when you drink and smoke while pregnant." Another chipped in, "She's probably on welfare, using our tax money to pay for the damage she caused. That child should be taken away." My heart was thumping a frantic rhythm against my ribs. Lily, trying so hard to chase the other kids, stumbled and fell. I rushed to her side, but the first mom, the one in the expensive workout clothes, grabbed my arm. Her fingers dug into my skin. "You've already ruined her enough. Maybe if you let her struggle, she'll develop something, since you didn't give her a working brain." Lily started to cry, and the woman actually smirked. "See? Emotionally stunted, 2. A normal 3-year-old wouldn't cry from a little fall. She's like a permanent baby. Then, one of them, phone already out, started recording. I'm documenting this neglect for CPS, she announced, her voice dripping with self-righteousness. Look how young she is. How the child can't speak or move properly. Clear signs of prenatal substance abuse. She narrated her hateful monologue right into her phone, detailing my obvious incompetence, how I was probably high right now. When Lily, heartbroken, reached for me, struggling to say, "Mama," the woman pointed her phone at her. Listen to that. 3 years old and talking like she's a criminal. My blood ran cold. But it wasn't over. The third mom, the one who'd called Lily broken, actually dialed 911. There's an unfit teenage mother here, she practically screamed into the phone, with a child who's clearly been damaged by prenatal exposure. The girl can't walk or talk normally. Obvious developmental delays from substances. Even while talking to the dispatcher, she turned to her friends. That baby would be better off in foster care. At least she'd have a chance at life instead of being raised by trash who destroyed her before she was even born. My whole body was shaking. They actually made their own children line up to stare at my crying daughter. Look at her inability to be normal, they hissed. Her mother poisoned her, and now she'll never have friends. Lily was sobbing now, her little heart understanding their cruel tone, even if she couldn't grasp every word. I tried to pick her up, to shield her, but 2 of them blocked me. Let everyone see what you did to her, the first mom snarled. She actually bent down, her face inches from Lily's, before I could snatch her away. Your mommy hurt you before you were born, sweetie. You'll never be smart like other kids. I felt like I was going to explode. Snap. Burst into a million pieces. But then, that's when I saw him. One of their boys. Sitting in the sandbox. By the way, if you're still holding your breath with me through this wild ride, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. You won't want to miss the unbelievable twists still to come. His lips were turning blue, his breathing becoming shallow and rapid. His mother just stood there, screaming, "What's wrong with him? He was fine a second ago." He was struggling, gasping for air, his eyes rolling back. Panic erupted. Someone shrieked about calling 911 again, but no one was actually doing anything. I dropped to my knees next to him. I shoved his mother's frantic hands away from his shoulders, where she was shaking him so hard his little head bounced. His lips were darkening to an alarming shade of blue. His breathing was coming in these horrifying, short gasps that barely moved his chest. I knew this. I'd seen this before, during Lily's allergy training sessions at the hospital. They'd shown us videos. The way his face was swelling around his mouth and eyes, the wheezing sound from his throat, the angry hives spreading up his neck, it all screamed anaphylactic shock. I pressed 2 fingers against his neck. His pulse was racing, far too fast, while his chest hardly moved. His mother was still screaming in my ear, a high-pitched, hysterical wail, but I blocked it out. My focus narrowed. Airway. I checked for blockages, his tongue, vomit. Turned his head. Clear. But the swelling was getting worse by the second. My hands moved on their own, muscle memory kicking in from all those emergency training sessions. I positioned him flat on his back, using someone's discarded designer diaper bag to slightly raise his legs. I grabbed his mother's wrist, hard enough to snap her out of her hysteria. Stop shaking him. You're making it worse. The recording mom still had her phone out, but her face was stark white. I yelled at her, "Call 911. Tell them we have a child in anaphylaxis. He needs an ambulance now." She actually lowered her phone, her fingers trembling as she dialed. I stayed with the boy, keeping him flat, monitoring his dangerously shallow breathing. His mother was sobbing, barely able to stand, but I needed answers. Fast. Does he have known allergies? Does he have an EpiPen? She just stared at me, tears streaming down her face, not processing a word. I repeated it, louder this time. And then, as if a switch flipped, she started tearing through her designer diaper bag like her son's life depended on it. Makeup, wipes, snacks, they went flying as she dumped the whole thing on the ground, finally pulling out a yellow and orange EpiPen Junior from an inner pocket. I snatched it from her shaking hands. Quick check of the expiration date, good for 3 more months. A wave of relief, fleeting but powerful. I uncapped it, talking myself through the steps, partly to focus, partly to keep his mother from spiraling further. Orange tip to outer thigh, right through his shorts, I murmured. I pressed hard until I heard the click, then counted to 10, slowly, holding it in place. The needle stayed in his leg. I watched his face for any change, keeping the pressure steady. After 10 agonizing seconds, I pulled it out and massaged the injection site. 30 seconds passed. His breathing eased. Not normal, no, but better than those horrible, shallow gasps. The blue around his lips softened to a sickly gray, and his chest began to move more with each breath. I kept him flat and instructed another mom to stand by the parking lot to flag down the ambulance. His mother collapsed to her knees beside me, sobbing, "Is he going to be okay? Please, tell me he's going to be okay." My voice was calm, steady, even though my hands were still trembling. "The EpiPen is working," I told her, "but he absolutely needs to get to the hospital. Reactions can come back." All this time, my sweet Lily had crawled over. She sat quietly next to me, patting my leg with her little hand, like she understood the gravity of the moment. And those women. The ones who'd been calling me an unfit mother just 5 minutes ago. They stood in a silent circle around us. The air had shifted. The palpable tension. I calmly relayed the information to the 911 dispatcher through the recording mom's phone. Approximate age 4, 1 dose of epinephrine 2 minutes ago, conscious but not fully responsive, breathing improved from severe to moderate distress. The dispatcher stayed on the line, and I kept reporting his vital signs every 30 seconds, waiting. The ambulance pulled up a mere 8 minutes later, though it felt like an eternity. EMT Derek Brennan and his partner jumped out, equipment already in hand. Derek dropped down beside me, taking over with smooth, rapid movements, checking Aiden's airway and breathing. He looked up, his eyes meeting mine, and confirmed, "You did everything right." He put oxygen on the boy's face, then asked me to detail everything from the beginning. I explained the timeline, how I'd seen the blue lips, recognized anaphylactic shock from Lily's medical training. Derek's partner prepared medications as Derek efficiently started N4 in Aiden's arm. Finally, Aiden's mother, Delaney, managed to tell them his name and that he was severely allergic to tree nuts. She speculated he must have touched something. Derek, still adjusting the oxygen flow, looked at me again. "Are you medical personnel? A nurse?" I shook my head. "My daughter, Lily, has multiple medical conditions. I've taken emergency response training for her, including recognizing and treating allergic reactions." He nodded slowly, then turned to Delaney. His voice was clear, firm. "Her quick response with that EpiPen probably saved your son's life, ma'am. Anaphylaxis can close an airway completely in minutes." Delaney's face went utterly white as his words sank in. Her eyes, filled with tears, met mine. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again, struggling to form words. She reached out, then pulled her hand back, a painful hesitation, before letting it fall. The same woman who'd called me trash just 20 minutes earlier was trying to thank me for saving her child, and the words were stuck in her throat. Derek's partner moved Aiden onto the stretcher, oxygen mask still on, for drip adjusted. Aiden's eyes were open now, tracking movement, though he still looked utterly spent. Derek then glanced at the third mom, still clutching her phone from her 911 call. "Were you the one who called about an unfit mother earlier?" he asked. She nodded slowly, her face burning crimson. Derek made a note on his tablet. "I'll be adding to my report that the teenage mother in question had provided emergency medical care that likely prevented a fatal outcome." Her face, if possible, turned an even deeper shade of red. She stared at her phone as if she could vanish into it. They lifted the stretcher, rolling it towards the ambulance. Delaney hurried alongside, one hand on Aiden's arm. She looked back at me one last time, her lips forming a silent, "Thank you," before climbing into the back with her son. Derek closed the doors. The ambulance pulled away, lights flashing, but no siren this time. Aiden was stable. The moment that ambulance turned the corner and disappeared, my legs buckled. The adrenaline, which had coiled tight in my stomach for what felt like hours, drained out, leaving me trembling, feeling like jelly. I sank onto the nearest playground bench, utterly spent. Lily, my sweet, perceptive Lily, crawled onto my lap, her tiny hand patting my arm, her worried eyes searching mine. "Mama, okay?" she managed, her words still halting. I hugged her tight, burying my face in her hair. "Yes, baby," I whispered, "Mama's okay." The playground was eerily silent now, broken only by nervous whispers from the remaining moms. They were gathering their kids, acting like they hadn't just spent 20 minutes verbally tearing me apart. I watched the recording mom, her face still pale, furiously swiping through her phone. She deleted the video she'd taken of me and Lily, probably thinking I didn't notice. But I had. And I'd also noticed the angry purple bruise already forming on my upper arm where that first mom had dug her fingers in. I shifted Lily to my other arm, pulled out my own phone. Click. I took a quick, clear photo of that bruise, making sure the lighting was good. The timestamp would prove it happened today. I had a gut feeling I was going to need evidence of what really went down. Still shaking, I stood up with Lily on my hip, gathering our things from where I'd dropped them when Aiden collapsed. My sippy cup, the little bag of goldfish crackers. The other moms tried to catch my eye, some opening their mouths as if to speak. But I kept my focus on our belongings. The third mom, the one who'd called 911 about me, actually walked over, touching my shoulder lightly. "I was just concerned about Lily's welfare," she began. "I didn't mean anything by it." I shrugged away from her touch, not bothering to respond, just kept packing our bag. She kept talking, justifying herself. "I'm a mandated reporter at my job. I felt obligated to call when I saw what looked like neglect." I hoisted the bag onto my shoulder, scooped Lily up, and walked past her towards the exit, not a single word leaving my lips. Two other moms tried to intercept me. One said she hoped there were no hard feelings. Another asked if I needed anything. I kept walking. My eyes fixed on the sidewalk, on the rhythm of my steps, on the precious weight of Lily in my arms. The 15-minute walk home felt like an hour. My body was still coming down from the adrenaline high. Lily felt heavier with every block. Halfway there, she fell asleep against my shoulder, her warm breath a gentle comfort against my neck. Back in our small apartment, I laid Lily down for her nap. Then I sat at the kitchen table, my laptop open. My hands had finally stopped shaking enough to type. I opened a new document. I wrote everything down. Timestamps, from when we arrived at 8:30 a.m., when the moms showed up at 9:15, documenting every single cruel word they'd said. How they'd physically blocked Lily, how one had grabbed my arm, the 911 call they'd made against me. Then, Aiden's allergic reaction, around 9:45 a.m., and every single step I took to save him. I uploaded the photo of my bruised arm. Saved it all to my hard drive in the cloud. I knew, with a sinking certainty, that CPS would be calling. and I would be ready. That evening, after Lily finally napped, we went through her physical therapy and speech exercises, as always. Around 7, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. It was Delaney. Aiden was stable, going home tomorrow, and she thanked me again for acting so quickly. She mentioned the doctors thought he'd touched tree nut residue. I stared at her message, a complex knot of emotions in my chest. I typed a short reply, glad he's okay. Hope he feels better soon. I didn't mention her cruelty, her words about Lily being broken. I just kept it professional. 2 days crawled by. Every phone call made my stomach clench. I knew it was coming. Tuesday morning, as I fed Lily breakfast, my phone finally rang. Zara Qualls, Child Protective Services. My heart slammed against my ribs. I'd expected it, but it still felt like a punch. She said they'd received a report concerning Lily's welfare. I kept my voice steady, agreed to a home visit for Wednesday afternoon. The next day and a half were a blur of preparation. I gathered every single piece of paper I had that proved what kind of mother I actually was. Lily's medical records, her diagnosis, prognosis, every therapy note, every receipt for her specialized equipment. Organized them meticulously in a binder. Then I called Lily's pediatrician, her physical therapist, her speech therapist. Each one promised glowing reports, confirming my dedication, Lily's excellent care, and her remarkable progress against all odds. Wednesday afternoon arrived too fast. My nerves were frayed, but Lily, oblivious, happily played with her blocks. Then, another text from an unknown number. Delaney. Can we meet for coffee tomorrow? A part of me screamed no. But if she was willing to tell CPS the truth, it might help. I agreed. The next day, after dropping Lily with Mrs. Jones, I met Delaney at a quiet cafe. She was 5 minutes late, wearing jeans and a sweater that probably cost more than my entire grocery budget. She immediately launched into apologies, thanking me profusely for Aiden. I was horrible to you and Lily, she admitted, stirring sugar into her coffee. I just nodded, sipping my free water. I couldn't afford their overpriced drinks. She rambled about stress, about her husband traveling. I kept nodding. I didn't say, it's okay, because it wasn't. She told me she'd talked to the other moms, told them they were wrong about me, made sure they knew I'd saved Aiden. She even showed me her phone, a Facebook post in their moms group detailing my heroism. But underneath, the comments still buzzed with judgment. Too young to be a good mother, CPS should investigate. I thanked her for trying, then gently pulled my hand from hers, and left. Wednesday again. 2 o'clock on the dot, the doorbell rang. Zara Qualls. Younger than I expected, with kind eyes, her ID badge visible. I invited her in. Immediately, her eyes scanned everything, the child locks, the therapy schedule tacked to the fridge. Lily waved from her coloring. Zara smiled and waved back, then asked to look around. I showed her Lily's room, her special bed rails. The bathroom with grab bars I'd installed myself. The kitchen, noting the full fridge, Lily's labeled medications. Back in the living room, she sat and watched me help Lily with a snack. How old were you when you had Lily? She asked. 16, I said, watching her write it down, her expression unchanged. Lily's father? I explained he'd left, signed away his rights. Your family? I swallowed hard, telling her they'd kicked me out for refusing to give Lily up for adoption. Then I showed her my grocery store work schedule, how I'd arranged shifts around Lily's therapy. She pulled out my meticulously organized binder of medical records. Her questions were specific, genuinely impressed by the consistency of Lily's appointments. I showed her every receipt, therapy copays, equipment, adaptive toys. The papers proving I'd fought with insurance, and one. Then, my phone. The photo of the bruise. I explained everything about the playground incident. Names, descriptions. I'll be interviewing witnesses, she confirmed, taking notes. For 20 minutes, she simply watched Lily and me. Lily, sensing a nice lady, brought her stuffed elephant over, proudly showing it off. Zara observed how I gently redirected Lily when frustration hit, praised her efforts. She watched me do Lily's physical therapy exercises, how Lily giggled at my silly sounds. As she left, Zara explained the investigation would take weeks. She'd contact doctors and therapists. Based on what I'm seeing today, she said at the door, I don't have any immediate safety concerns. Relief washed over me. I sank to the floor next to Lily, helping her stack blocks, my hands finally still. That night, after Lily was asleep, I couldn't sleep. I found the Westside Moms United Facebook group. 300 members. Playdates and school recommendations. My stomach knotted as I scrolled. Delaney's long post. How I'd saved Aiden's life. 47 comments. The first mom, just concerned about child welfare. Anyone would question such a young mother. Others chimed in, unseen faces, judging from afar. Teenage moms at the mall, kids running wild. Protecting innocent kids. Calling CPS was the responsible thing to do when a child showed clear developmental delays. My hands trembled reading comment after comment, defending their actions against us. The next morning, Lily's speech therapist called. Zara had contacted her. She'd given a detailed report, I never missed appointments, always practiced at home. In 15 years of practice, she told Zara, I've rarely seen such a dedicated parent, especially one so young. She emphasized Lily's progress, exceeding expectations. I felt a tiny bit lighter, but the worry lingered. The next week, I avoided our old playground entirely. 2 buses to a new park, smaller, usually empty. Lily didn't seem to mind. 5 days after Aiden's emergency, Delaney texted, Aiden fully recovered, asking about the nice lady. I replied briefly. 2 days later, a hospital letter. A generic thank you for emergency assistance. I tucked it into Lily's folder. That same afternoon, Lily's pediatrician's office called. Dr. Miller was personally appalled anyone would question my parenting, making it clear to CPS I was an exceptional mother. Exactly 2 weeks after Zara's home visit, she called. Interviews completed. Healthcare providers contacted. Everything's looking very positive for case closure, she said. 3 weeks after the incident, I finally went back to our original playground. 6 a.m., empty. Lily ran to her favorite swing, completely forgotten the awful day. I pushed her, her laughter filling the quiet morning. 20 minutes later, footsteps. Delaney and Aiden. My body tensed. She gave a small wave. I waved back. Aiden broke free, ran straight to me, wrapping his arms around my legs in a hug that stole my breath. Thank you for helping him when he couldn't breathe, he mumbled, before running off to play near Lily. Delaney, uncomfortable, thanked me. She mentioned the first mom, the one who grabbed my arm, was telling everyone I'd overreacted. I just shrugged. I had bigger things to worry about. A week later, Zara returned for her final home visit. Lily's therapist was already there. Zara watched as the therapist worked with Lily, showed her progress charts. Lily, who couldn't lift a foot 6 months ago, could now stand on one for 3 seconds. The therapist praised my consistency, how I never missed appointments, always came prepared. Zara nodded. After the session, Zara stayed, watching our afternoon routine, snack time, modified puzzles. How I broke down tasks into tiny steps. For weeks after that awful 911 call, Zara finally called. All interviews done, documentation reviewed. Case closed, she said, completely unfounded. It's clear you're doing everything humanly possible for Lily, despite truly challenging circumstances. My hands shook so violently I almost dropped the phone. When I hung up, I sank to the kitchen floor and just cried. Lily woke from her nap, found me there, tears streaming. She climbed into my lap, patting my cheeks. "Mama happy?" she asked, her slow, careful voice. I cried even harder then. But these were good tears. "Yes, baby," I sobbed, hugging her tight, "Mama is very happy." Over the next few weeks, I started going back to the playground again, avoiding the busy times. Some moms ignored me, others gave quick, knowing nods. A few even smiled. One mom, a single mom whose ex had left after their son's autism diagnosis, actually approached me. We exchanged numbers. 2 months later, Delaney invited us to Aiden's birthday party. I stared at the invitation. We weren't enemies, but we definitely weren't friends. I politely declined. 3 months after that terrible day, I sat in Lily's speech therapy waiting room. Then, clear as day through the door, I heard it. "Want more bubbles?" I shot up so fast I knocked over my coffee. Her therapist, beaming, ushered me in to hear Lily say it again. 3 simple words. Her first real sentence. We'd worked for months, years, for this. The therapist had tears in her eyes too. Doctors had said Lily might never talk. That night, I applied for community college. Financial aid. If I was going to keep fighting for Lily, I needed a job that paid more than minimum wage. It took forever, digging up transcripts, writing an essay. But I hit submit. The playground incident became neighborhood gossip, different versions floating around. Some said I saved a life, others that I was investigated by CPS. But eventually, new gossip surfaced. People stopped staring. I still heard whispers, but I learned to focus on Lily, on us. Weeks turned into months. I found myself back at the old playground, different times. Delaney and Aiden started showing up. We'd nod. That was it. Our kids played side by side. Aiden shared his trucks, Lily clapped, said, "Tank oh." He never made fun of her. Delaney watched me help Lily, but kept her mouth shut. For months passed like that. Just existing. Then one day, Aiden walked up to Lily, took her hand, and helped her up the slide steps. Delaney and I just looked at each other, shrugging, letting our kids figure it out. 6 months later, the daycare job came through. The director, she'd heard about the playground. "Anyone who can stay calm enough to save a kid in all that drama," she said, "is exactly who I want watching children." The pay wasn't great, but Lily came for free, $300 a month saved for therapies. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I worked. Lily played with other kids. The structured environment, the social interaction, pushed her. Her speech therapist saw improvements. 2-word phrases to 3-word sentences. Progress, documented for insurance. I connected with 3 other moms, kids with cerebral palsy, autism, Down syndrome. An informal network. We'd watch each other's kids for appointments, meet at accessible playgrounds, share info. No judgment. We all knew the stares. The mom who grabbed my arm moved away, according to gossip. The others, they avoided me, dashed down different aisles. One time, the recording mom practically ran out of the store. Fine by me. By spring, Aiden and Lily had their own routine. Sandbox. He built towers, she knocked them down. Both laughed. He never got mad. Delaney started leaving extra snacks on the bench. I signed up for online community college classes. 2 to start. Work, therapy, study until midnight. Laundry, groceries, meal prep, playground. Not fancy. But it was our routine. Nobody could take it away. My binder of receipts and reports grew thicker each month. Proof. We were surviving. Thriving, even. Then this morning. A full year after that awful day. I pushed Lily on the swing, just like always. She turned around. Higher, mama. Clear as day. Not higher or mama up. Two real words. Anyone could understand. I pushed her higher. She laughed. That beautiful, joyful laugh. And I knew. We were exactly where we needed to be. This journey. It was just the beginning. I often wonder, looking back, if I could have handled it differently. But honestly, sometimes life just throws you into the fire. So, tell me down in the comments, have you ever faced such blatant judgment, only to find yourself unexpectedly in a position of strength? Or had to fight for your child against those who underestimated you? I really want to know what you think.